I overheard my daughter brag to her friends. "Dad is nothing but free babysitting." I stayed silent for 90 days. Then I hit send on one email. The following day her career and her marriage started falling to pieces. I was standing in the hallway outside the kitchen that Saturday afternoon when the words floated through the open doorway. Lauren's voice was light, almost laughing, the way she used to sound when she was still in high school and thought the whole world bent around her schedule. Her two closest friends, Jessica and Amanda, sat at my kitchen table with coffee mugs and the leftover cinnamon rolls I had baked that morning for the grandkids. Sophia and Ethan were out in the backyard chasing the dog, their sneakers kicking up the last of the dry leaves. I had just finished wiping down the counters after cleaning up the breakfast mess those same kids left behind. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I was simply walking past on my way to the laundry room with a basket of their clothes. "Honestly," Lauren said, "Dad is nothing but free babysitting at this point. I don't even have to ask anymore. He just shows up. It's like having an unpaid nanny who also does grocery runs and fixes the leaking faucet. Derek and I would be drowning without him, but God, it's convenient." Jessica laughed. Amanda made some comment about how lucky she was. I stood there with the laundry basket pressed against my chest and felt the floor tilt under my feet. I had driven over at 6:30 that morning because Lauren texted at midnight saying she had an early client meeting and needed someone with the kids. I canceled my own plans. I always canceled my own plans. I thought I was being a good grandfather. I thought I was still useful after retirement. Apparently I was just free labor. I set the basket down quietly and walked back to the living room without saying a word. When they finally left, Lauren kissed my cheek the way she always did and told me she would pick the kids up by 5. I smiled and said that was fine. Inside, something cold had settled behind my ribs. That night I sat in my recliner and stared at the dark television. The house felt larger than usual. My late wife's photo still sat on the mantel. She would have known what to say. I did not. So I said nothing. The next morning I still showed up. Sophia needed help with a school project. Ethan had a fever 2 days later and Lauren had back-to-back appointments. I took him to the pediatrician. I made the chicken soup. I stayed overnight on the pull-out couch because Derek was out of town for work. I kept doing all of it. Every single day for the next 90 days I kept showing up as if I had never heard those words. I started keeping a quiet record though. Not because I planned anything at first. I just needed to see the shape of it on paper. Every text from Lauren asking if I could just swing by. Every time she dropped the kids off without asking and drove away already on a work call. Every evening she came late because drinks with the team ran long. I wrote down the dates and the hours. I wrote down the things I bought for the house when her refrigerator was empty again. I wrote down the times Derek looked tired and grateful and slightly ashamed when he came home and found me still there folding laundry. 3 months is a long time to carry something like that. The first month I told myself she didn't mean it the way it sounded. The second month I told myself maybe she was just blowing off steam with her friends. By the third month I stopped making excuses. I still said nothing. I still answered every call. I still drove across town in the rain when Ethan threw up at school and the nurse couldn't reach Lauren because her phone was on silent during a presentation. The email came to me on a Tuesday in late October. I had been sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold. The kids were at school. Lauren had asked me that morning if I could handle pickup because she and Derek were meeting with a realtor about refinancing. I had agreed the way I always did. Then I opened my laptop and stared at the blank composed window for almost an hour. I typed one sentence at a time. I attached the log I had kept. Dates. Hours. Screenshots of texts. A short note about the conversation I overheard and the exact words. I addressed it to Lauren's direct supervisor at the marketing firm where she worked as a senior account manager. I had the email address because she had once forwarded me a work calendar invite by mistake and never noticed. I did not copy Derek. I did not copy Lauren. I just hit send and closed the laptop. I expected nothing. Or maybe I expected a polite reply weeks later saying they would look into it. I did not expect the following day. At 7:14 the next morning my phone started buzzing. First it was Derek. He sounded like he had not slept. He asked if I knew why Lauren's company had frozen her access to the servers overnight. I said I did not. Then Lauren called. Her voice was high and sharp. She said HR had pulled her into a conference room first thing and placed her on administrative leave pending an internal review of attendance and client billable hours. She demanded to know if I had spoken to anyone. I told her the truth. I told her I had sent one email. There was a long silence on the line. Then she started crying. Not the soft kind. The kind that comes with anger and fear mixed together. She hung up. By noon Derek was at my door. He stood on the porch with his hands in his jacket pockets and asked if we could talk. I let him in. He sat at the same kitchen table where Lauren had laughed with her friends 3 months earlier. He told me the firm had started auditing her timesheets. Several client meetings she claimed to attend had no corresponding notes or follow-ups. 2 of those days she had been at the spa with Jessica. One afternoon she had taken the kids to the zoo while listing the hours as client strategy session. The firm already had the security badge logs. My email had simply given them a reason to look closer. Derek rubbed his face with both hands. He said the marriage had been thin for a while. He had suspected she was spending money they did not have and disappearing for hours she could not explain. The leave without pay and the sudden scrutiny at work had cracked whatever was left. She came home that night and they fought until almost 3 in the morning. She accused him of never supporting her career. He accused her of treating everyone around her like staff. By the weekend she had moved a suitcase into the guest room. I did not celebrate. I did not feel righteous. I just kept showing up for Sophia and Ethan the way I always had. School pickup. Soccer practice. The science fair project that still needed finishing. Lauren stopped calling me for a while. When she finally did, her voice was quieter. She said the firm had offered her a chance to resign instead of being terminated. She took it. The realtor meeting never happened. The refinance fell through. Derek filed for separation 2 weeks later. I still live in the same house. The same quiet street with the same HOA notices about leaf piles and holiday decorations. Sophia and Ethan still come over most weekends. Sometimes Lauren drops them off and sits in the driveway for a minute before driving away. Sometimes she comes inside and we talk about ordinary things. We do not talk about the email. We do not talk about that Saturday in the kitchen. Last week Ethan asked me if I was still free on Thursday because Mom had a job interview. I said yes. I always say yes. The cold feeling behind my ribs has never completely left, but the house is full of the sound of 2 kids arguing over the last cookie and the dog barking at the mailman, and for now that is enough.